2 years ago, I gave a lecture at Edinburgh University where I revealed the perfect and most consistent strategy for landing an interview at your dream company. Now, this formula, it won't get you the job, right? You have to be good enough in the interview too, obviously. But believe me, if you listen carefully to what I say today and you implement my advice, you will guaranteed get the interview. I know this because literally today, as I am filming this video, I got a message from someone who on Friday found a job opportunity that she wanted at a company that she loves. On Sunday night, sent her application, and on Monday, which is today as I'm filming this, the company has replied already and booked her for an interview today. That is the power of the system. So listen closely and let's get into it. Dear Flynn Blackie, I'm writing a response to your firm's job advert for a digital sales assistant. I believe that my education, work experience, and skills make me a very good candidate for the job. You know, maybe this person would have made a good digital sales assistant, but it's a little unfortunate that they were applying for a videography role. Here's another one, Luke. By the way, this is not even being cropped. I have a lot of experience working in social media, which can help your organization if I'm selected. That's the whole application. Imagine that you're in a position where you need to bring someone onto your team, right? You're looking for someone talented for the role to move your company forward, and you get that. Will you hire this person? Of course not. Yet 90% of applications sound exactly like this, which means that 90% are destined to fail from the start. Coincidentally, the same thing can be said for business proposals, cold emails, network outreach, and every other communication that's vital for doing business. You know, when I was approached to do this talk 2 years ago by the university, I was given quite a lot of freedom. So, as someone who's only ever worked at an organization that I own, the only logical answer, the only thing that I thought is a good thing for me to talk about, given my vast employment history, was to speak about how to land an interview at your dream company. I bet that'd go down well on the CV, right? A quote from my only employer saying I'm the best employee he's ever had. Not sure how that'd pan out if they called up for a reference and my phone started ringing during the interview, but nevertheless. What's interesting about it though is it's a lie. I'm not the best employee I've ever had. No, the reason that I can say confidently today and tell you how to land an interview at your dream company is because I conduct them all the time. I'm not the best employee in my company, and that's because I pride myself on the ability that I have to find and attract exceptional talent. In fact, in 2023 alone, I personally read more than 1,300 job applications, which, as much as I'd love to sit with you and look at some of the most ridiculous, I'm here to show you how you can make yours better. But let's look at one more first, why not? Why should we hire you above all other applicants? Bananas. Well, more on bananas later. The fact is, the entire process of hiring employees is going through a massive shift. 2024 is going to be a difficult year to get a job, so how do you stand out in a world that's becoming increasingly competitive? You know, I gave this talk at a prestigious university, and unfortunately gone are the days when having a degree alone was sufficient to stand out from the crowd. When I was in the lecture hall, I ran a little experiment where I asked a student to tell me what they were studying, and it was international business. And I asked all of the other students who were studying international business to raise their hand, and dozens of hands went shooting up. So now we have dozens of intelligent students at a good university pursuing the same degree. Let's imagine they all pass with a first. How are they going to steal the job from each other? That's the question, right? How companies find you, how people land their dream jobs, it's all changed drastically. And that's what brings me to the first of the 3 keys we're going to unlock together today. The first key is the key of them. If you've ever read the works of Sigmund Freud, of Maslow, of Tony Robbins, of John Dewey, you'll know that there's one desire that we have as humans, which is almost or even arguably equally as strong as our desire for food, for sleep, for sex. That desire is the desire for importance or significance. As an employer, there are 3 key elements I crave in my dream candidate, and the first thing I want to see is not how amazing you are. It's not your degree or your experience. To begin with, I couldn't even care if you went to Oxford University or the Open University, right? I don't want to hear why I should want you. I want to hear why you want me. I want you to make me, your potential employer, feel important and feel significant. Dale Carnegie said, if you talk to someone about themselves, then they will listen for hours. So after reading so many clearly copy-pasted spray and pray emails and applications, you'll be amazed how far adding personalization can go. And the first step's easy. No sir or madam, no hiring manager, no whom it may concern, right? When I read that, I don't read to whom it may concern. I'm hearing, I haven't taken the time to even check who I'm writing this to. To whom it may concern is nonsense. Dale Carnegie said, a person's name is to that person the sweetest, most important sound in any language. Employers want to be convinced that you want to work alongside them. So taking the time just to find their name and adding it to your application will go a massive way. Just make sure you definitely don't do this or that, right? The maximum of 10 minutes it's going to take to find the person's name, say it correctly, is going to make a mountain of difference. LinkedIn literally encourages job posters to connect their profile to it. They make it super easy to associate a name to a job. Indeed.com can be a little bit trickier, right? But the information is always somewhere. You can and you will find it if you're willing to. And you know, there's a chance that maybe one of two people are going to be the person reading the application, right? Maybe there's no name listed on the listing. If it could be one of two people, put both of their names. And look, it has happened before. Sometimes, even in 2024, there are still some ghosts on the internet. So if you truly can't find a hint of who the employer could be, which person's behind it, play with the company name. If the company has names for the employees, right? Like there's a company I know called Buzz, and they call their team their bumblebees, right? So if you couldn't find the company's name, you might say, to my soon-to-be fellow bumblebee. And at the end of your application, you could say something like, I want to join your hive, or something like that. If it was Coca-Cola, a huge company where it's probably more excusable that you wouldn't find the exact hiring manager, you might start your application with something like, to my future Coca colleague, right? It's that horrible cringiness that grabs the attention, and attention is exactly what you need. That is what you're battling for. Now, what usually happens after hello, right? Boom, hello. Then the applicant dives in, and once again, they're talking about how great they are. Boom, next, I'm not interested. You want to follow that hello up with a sincere and personalized compliment. And don't do this, right? You're applying for a job. I don't exactly expect you to hope that I'm unwell, right? We have to prove that we're applying for this job, not every job that we can find. So the first paragraph should relate to a real and recent, but not the latest. And I say not the latest because this is your dream company. You follow what they do. Anybody can go find the latest post on social media. You need to find a recent example of something that the company did that you liked. Preferably one that you think that the person in charge of hiring may have been involved with, but that's not make or break, Luke. That's something extra. Truth is, you have infinite information at your fingertips, so look through their socials, look for recent PR, look at articles, and tell them not only how much you liked it, but go further. What did you specifically like about it? Again, you need to prove that it's that job, that it's that company that you want. You need to frame it so that the main attraction is the company, not the position. That's what the employer wants to feel. So that's what you have to communicate. So this time, I recommend that you talk about something that was much, much earlier in the company's journey, an earlier achievement. You might say something like, that reminded me of the XYZ campaign that you ran a few months ago. I'm super excited to see what comes next for insert company name. You're showing that you're a fan of the company by the recent works, you're showing that you're supporting them throughout their journey, and that ties you subliminally to be someone who's connected to the journey, which sets you up to be a part of it moving forward. So you frame it that the company is the main attraction, and because that individual is part of that company, there's that kind of subconscious pride that comes with the, association and pride by proxy, essentially. So the first obstacle, the first key that you need to unlock when you're trying to land the interview at your dream company is the key of them, or from my perspective, that would be the key of me, right? As an employer, it's all about me. Think of them when you're applying. The next key to unlock, I call it the key of us, right? Put yourself in the mind of a manager who's trying to hire someone for a second, right? The employment process isn't rewarding, right? Nobody likes reading through it. Maybe some rare birds do, but the real reward is finding the dream candidate. The manager's biggest fear, therefore, is that they make the hire, and then 2 weeks later, after working with you, they realize they found the wrong person, and then they have to go through the hassle of getting rid of you, as well as going through the process all over again to find someone new. Employers want to know what it's like to work with you before they actually have to work with you. They want to know what working with you will be like. They want to know that working with you will be good before they actually commit to doing it. Now that statement can be a little misleading. Usually people think what I'm going to say next is that you should do free work for them and send it over. That's not it at all. It would be crazy at this stage to start working for someone who doesn't even know who you are, right? Your goal is to create enough interest so they're intrigued, so that they're desperate to speak to you and to interview and determine that way if you can do the physical work required. As I say, I read 1,300 applications in 2023. But out of those 1,300 applications, it's not been the best application that has won the candidates the job. It's not the best application that wins the position. It's the work that you do outside of the application. When I speak about the key of us and managers getting to see what it's like to work with you, I'm talking about giving them an insight into your attention to detail, your passion for what you do, and the way in which you can communicate with them. This is Mike. He's my videographer. He's one of 9 that I interviewed for the role. Mike sent me a personalized video recording where he walked me through some of the videos that he'd made, guided me through some projects that he thought was relevant to me and to the job description I'd laid out. And he talked about the process of making them, how he did it. And although we hadn't spoken directly or together, I gained an understanding for how he worked, the way he communicated, and from the video, I could tell he'd be a great potential fit with the rest of the team. The 20 minutes that it took him to prepare and record that video landed him the interview, and as a result, landed him the job. So personalized videos are a massively powerful tool, and I strongly recommend them. Remember, I said it's the work you do outside of the application. This is Marvin. He's our graphic designer. He's been with us 3 years now. Marvin didn't even click apply on the job application that he was actually applying for. What he did was he commented on one of our Instagram posts. He then sent one of our own posts to us, complimented it, and sent an audio message telling us what he would do differently, and concluded that audio saying that he'd love to speak with me about our vacancy and asked if I would interview him. And Marvin was persistent. He didn't only message Mod, my company, on Instagram. He messaged me personally on Instagram. He emailed me, and he connected and sent me a message on LinkedIn. As an employer, when you can see that someone is that keen to work with you and your organization, you take notice, right? This isn't the dating world, this is business. Playing hard to get, pretending you're not interested, is the opposite of what you should be doing. Help your employer visualize how amazing it will be to work with you. Show them your passion, be persistent, show them you don't give up. Every action you put in outside of that application is contributing to your likeliness of getting your dream job. That's the fact, right? So we looked at personalized videos. We spoke about sending a LinkedIn connection, but you can take this one step further with a strategy I call meet your colleagues. It's super powerful, right? So if you do the first step right, if you create the attention and you do enough to intrigue the hiring manager, the hope is that they'll go ahead and check you out on LinkedIn, etc. By the way, if you're not on LinkedIn, the first thing you should do after this video, happy to be your first connection. Please send me a request, but get yourself on there. It takes 5 minutes to set up. Now imagine the hiring manager. They go on LinkedIn, they open your profile, and they see you with mutual connections with half of their colleagues. Even if it's 1 or 2 of them, not half. There's an immediate creation of further trust, further intrigue, and that is what we call social proof. If the colleagues who you connect with on LinkedIn and build this up, build these connections so that when the hiring manager looks and they see you with their colleagues, what you can also do is engage in conversation with the colleagues. Before the application's even read by the hiring manager, you can ask the colleagues if they'd put a good word in for you, give you an internal referral. People, if they like their staff, will trust that if their staff recommend someone else, they will also be a good fit. That's the culture of the company. So a direct reference from someone that is trusted by the employer is massively powerful. And how you can get this? Well, like I said, talk to someone about themselves and they will listen for hours. So ask their colleagues, ask these employees of the company if they like working there. Tell them about your aspirations to work there. Start the conversation. Create familiarity with people you don't even technically know yet. And by doing so, you'll create a buzz about you within the company. So if your name's mentioned, oh, I saw him on social media. I saw her connecting with a few of you guys. What do you know about her? Etc., etc. We also looked at commenting and supporting on social media. That's what Marvin did, right? And that's really effective at creating a buzz. It definitely doesn't go unnoticed when the same username's popping up, liking, sharing, commenting, etc. And what we can do, which is really, really powerful, is we can actually combine these two, right? Imagine you could comment on the company's socials, right? You're dropping comments, positivity, you're sharing things that you liked. Then you connect with the social media manager on LinkedIn and you start a conversation about the posts that you like. You congratulate them on the recent PR activities. You say that you're fond of their strategies. Does that make sense? Can you imagine the pride and association that that one individual is going to have? How much they're going to be instantly sort of attracted to what you have to offer, perhaps, or attracted to you as a person, attracted to you as a promoter of the company. Does that make sense? Is this giving you some ideas of your own as to how you can stand out before you've even been hired in advance as somebody who supports the company? Because that's what they want at the end of the day. They want supporters and promoters. If it's a company that sells products, you can upload pictures, you can leave positive reviews on Google, Trustpilot, you can engage in their forums. This one is admittedly a little more on the extreme side. This final tactic is probably better suited for business proposals, things with, real high ticket value. But who gets direct mail these days? Send them a paper copy. Send them a gift, right? By doing something where they open, first of all, there's the mystery, the excitement, and they'll attach that emotion to you, which is excellent. But by doing this, you can also start to deploy reciprocity, right? People feel obligated to thank you, or even not thank you, but speak to you. And that's a rabbit hole that we don't have time for today, but if you stay tuned, if you subscribe, you'll see a lot more of that from me in the future. What I'm trying to say is you need to create an exact picture of what it could be like to have you in your team. That's what we're doing in this step of us. Finally, right, now we've talked about them, we've talked about us, finally we can move on to the part where we talk about ourselves. But we're going to keep it short and sweet. Step into the mind of the employer again, right? They've been scrolling through application on application. The last thing they want is some long-winded story about how you got an iPad for Christmas and it set you on a journey to buy a Mac and you wrote your dissertation on that Mac, blah, 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 right? Boring. There are two things you need to align here. That's all. The first thing they want to hear is what has brought you to this point. The combination of what plus what has brought you to this company and this position. What past actions or experiences make this the place for you? Give them a story. Make it sound like destiny, right? Don't use that word. You don't want to be over the top. Perhaps a better way of putting it would be to make it sound like that company is the only reasonable or logical next step for you. Frame it in a way that if they were in your shoes, they'd make the same decision themselves. They'd come to the same conclusion. And that's really the trick here. You have to let them be the ones who decide that it's the only reasonable choice. You want a sort of your words, not mine scenario, right? You paint the picture, but let the employer come to the conclusions. Now, this final step is the part everyone starts with, which puts them down the pile, and that's bragging about why you're suited to this role, right? Finally, you can tell me where you can add value. Show me, right? Include a link to your portfolio. Tell me how good you are. I'm going to show you another application I received here, but before I do you remember Mr. Bananas from earlier? Bananas is my defense mechanism. I conclude every job post with something along these lines. Bananas is what I use to make my job easier, right? To find people that are actually interested in this role and not just any role. The problem Mr. Bananas had earlier, of course, is that he forgot the other 3 steps, but most employers don't deploy the tactic as I do, so you have to show it through my systems here that you've read the whole application. I have this extract from another one. We're going to call this person Mrs. Very. Bananas, I'm an expert videographer. I am very creative. I am very aware of many styles of work and have very good taste. I'm also very technical with high-level skills in Final Cut Pro and shooting with high-end equipment. I am very aware of current themology and online video marketing, viral video, social media trends. I'm a seasoned old hand, but I have a very wide and eclectic taste in many cultural art forms. My professional background was in education, but I've also worked in marketing. I'm a fucking great videographer, photographer. I have a very high-end collection of cameras and lenses, and I have very expert skills in editing. I'm also very used to UX design principles, all forms of digital media. I'm an expert in sound recording, location shooting, Sound mixing, I'm also a very capable musician. Your project sounds very interesting and I like the style of your advert. I am different, very different, but most of all, I'm a very capable editor with images and sounds. I have an extensive set, blah, 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 very, 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 very. As a 20-year-old professional graphic designer, media producer, project manager, I also like to work other people's briefs and develop concepts, add solutions. Well, I loved her enthusiasm. There's a line, right? There is such thing as too much. I don't want to have to worry about your midday cocaine habits. Employers don't want to hear about the large YouTube channel you have, or the homemade photography project that you're capturing with your little sister, or the recording of you speaking at Edinburgh University. They don't want to hear about it, but they would love to see it. Remember, stay in their mind, stay in my mind. I've been scrolling through applications for 2 hours. I'm bored of black and white text on a page. Give me the link, show me, upload it. Don't just tell me. Sell me the story, let me buy into you, bring me into agreement with you about your journey, make me emotionally invested in you, and then help me justify my emotions with logic and with evidence. Let me understand your skills. Let me understand how valuable you can be to this company. Back that up with proof. And if you can do all of that for me, I promise you, you will get the interview. So there you have it, the 3 keys: them, us, and now you. And after hearing all this, I know what you're probably thinking. You're thinking, Flynn, this sounds like a lot of work. It sounds pretty stressful. But I want you to look at this from a completely different viewpoint, right? This process of applying and reaching out is not a chore. It is a golden opportunity. Think about this for a second. There are so many candidates out there, some with better qualifications and skills than you have for a particular job opening. But given that 90% of all proposals sound drastically boring, you can outclass and you can outshine most of the highly qualified candidates if your application is personalized and different from the usual copy-pasted application letters that they're tired of seeing. You need to understand that it's not always the best candidate that gets the job, because at the end of the day, your employers are human. They're people. They want to see that you actually care about their values, about their mission, about their goals, and about their problems. When you look at it from their perspective, from the eyes of the employer, if you can't put a little bit of effort into something as simple as an application letter, what guarantee do they have that you'll take your responsibilities seriously, that you'll put effort into the company? Sure, it might take 3 hours for each personalized application, but it's 3 hours that could literally land you your dream job. Is that not worth it? Isn't that a better way to spend the 3 hours rather than reaching out to 100 different companies and hoping that the one that says yes is half decent? I want to leave you with this powerful thought that might help you when you're looking for your dream client or your dream job. You're always a proposal away from your dream job, and you're always an email away from connecting with your heroes. There are people far less qualified than you who have landed their dream jobs because they were willing to put in a little bit of effort into their proposals. And you can too. Even right now, you might have a dream job that you'd love to have, but you think you're not good enough to get in. A good proposal can change all of that. So with that, I wish you all the best. I wish you the best in your careers, and who knows, maybe you could be working with me one day. If you want access to our perfect application blueprint and our template completely free, today's your lucky day. It's available right now as a resource in our private community. Our community, called the X Lounge, is completely free, but is application only because we only want serious people. So click the link below to apply and see if you can use the skills that you've learned with me today to increase your likelihood of being accepted. And by the way, clicking the subscribe button will definitely help. So make sure you hit that button.